My full name is Mam Alieu Drammeh, but people call me Alieu or Ali. Originally from Gambia, but I was born here in Copenhagen. Um, Lived all over the place. When I was like, before I could walk, I was already on a plane to Gambia, and then I was there until I was like 1, 2, and then that's when we moved to London. And then from London, I was there until I was 2015, actually, which I was just turning 20. Yeah. So I've been in Copenhagen for 5 years, almost 5 years, coming up to 5 years. Been interesting. I originally moved here because of my family was here. My mum has been living here for a very long time, 10 to 15 years. Unfortunately, she passed away last year, April, due to cancer. But my brothers are still here. My older brother, my little brother still live here. So yeah, it's been a interesting journey.
Why do you have been kind of touring from you born in Denmark, you went to Gambia, you went to UK, and UK you returned to Denmark?
My parents' reasoning for going to London was because they originally thought it's just better education. You know, the London education, and obviously the language as well, learning English fluently, and the educational system was stable at that point. But then coming back to Denmark was also due to education. It was because, the UK economy is not the strongest. And being born here in Denmark meant that I could also get free education. So once I finished college, and I started a university in London, but I couldn't really find anything that was really interesting to me. So my mom just persuaded me. She was like, being a student in London is difficult. Being a student alone without your family is even more difficult, having to go to university and work at the same time. So instead of doing that, she was just like to me, why don't you come back here to Denmark, where you can actually get paid to go to school. So instead of having to work and go to school, you can just focus on your education, and you can be closer to your family, of course. So I did that, and it was a good decision, I feel like. Being with my family, I've already have a strong family, so we like to stay together. So
How do you consider yourself as a Danish, European citizen, British, or Gambian?
I'm very, very intact with my Gambian side. Like my parents we've been going every year to Gambia since I was little. I could speak the language Wolof fluently. And that's a lot of things you see here in Copenhagen. There's a lot of African natives or Africans in general who just don't know how to speak their native tongue. And I'm appreciative that my parents made sure that we all know how to speak the language. Because if we go back to Gambia, for example, we know how to communicate with the people there, and you just don't forget your history. You actually know where you're from, And I've had people in, like my best friend who's from Congo, never been to Congo, and me being someone who's so intact with my African side is like, I kind of feel like it's a shame, that you are from a place in this world, but you've never actually seen it with your two eyes. All you see is what you see from the internet or from the TV, or what somebody else has to explain to you, like, this is what it's like. And you don't really have your own experience, which is another thing that I think is a problem I wouldn't say when parents move from Africa to Europe and then have a child here in Europe, and then the child never experiences the African side. Eventually it just keeps getting more diluted. You know what I mean? And then eventually the African side kind of just disappears.
But how your parents managed to do that? I mean, to introduce you even the language, because there are many parents
that find it difficult. It's very difficult.
I mean,
yeah.
How they manage to do that?
I couldn't even explain it to you, but my hat's off to them, definitely. I guess it was because, like I said, each one of us have lived in Gambia at one point. My little brother stayed there until he was 10. So stayed with my auntie until he was 10. My older brother stayed there for a year, 2 years. My sister was born there. So, and like I said, they always told us to go back every year. We go back for a month, you know, and then when you're there, everybody there is speaking the native language to you. And our parents was also speaking the native language to us from birth. But I think the deeper problem also that you could say that another issue is that here in Denmark, Danish is such a strong language, you know, and it's like your parents are even trying to learn the language. Your kids are trying to learn the language. So everybody's just trying to learn Danish. So everybody focuses on Danish. You know what I mean? So it's like living in England is like when you're in Africa, they teach you English anyway. So by the time your parents have moved to England, they already know the language. They're not focusing on learning English. They're already focused. They already know the language, you know, because it's one of the things in the curriculum that you have to learn when you're in Africa. And here in Denmark, an African man or woman bringing their family or coming here, first thing you have to do is learn the language. If you're going to move or navigate in this country, you have to learn the language. Because they're not comfortable enough to speak English to you. And if you want to get a job, you have to learn the language. So that makes it much more difficult when your parents are trying to learn Danish, your kids are trying to learn Danish. So everybody in the house is trying to learn Danish. So everybody just focuses on Danish. Nobody really focuses on, okay, how about I teach my kids the native language? Because then you're trying to teach them 2 languages at the same time, or 3 languages if you want to include English in there or something like that. So,
and you think that is a kind of problem where when the parents don't teach their culture, where they come from?
Oh, definitely, definitely. For me, I think like maybe it's a bit controversial saying this, but it's like if you're going to class yourself as an African, I would love for you to witness it with your eyes. Because for me, people are always going to tell you their experiences and their interpretation of what Africa is like. And it's a sad thing if that's the only thing you get to live by. What people have told me or what I have seen portrayed on the news, which they don't really show you the positive side of Africa. They always show you the poverty, the struggle. But there's so much to Africa.
True. And this is something that you write on your poems. But before we start talking about poems, how do you see life in Europe? I mean, you experienced in London, or UK, you experienced in Denmark. I don't know where else you travel across Europe.
Sweden.
Yeah, 2 or 3 places that you know best. So how is life in Europe compared?
Life in Europe is definitely it's not easy. It's not easy. London is a whole different kind of place compared to Copenhagen, compared to Scandinavia in general. London is definitely much more fast-paced, much more competitive. You know, everybody is trying to become somebody. Everybody is trying to be the best they can be. And because of the population and how many people there are, you're going to compete against so many more people who are trying to become what you want to become. So it kind of teaches you from young that you have to get the mindset of, if you want to be the best, you actually have to try and you have to put some work in and put some effort in. Nothing is really handed to you. But here in Denmark is a complete opposite. Here in Denmark, the competition is not really that high, because I've always said to people that here in Denmark, they have the mentality of people like the comfortable lifestyle, you know? And I guess it's because they actually have a system that works to an extent, especially if you're somebody who's born here. They definitely have a system that kind of works into your favor. So me being born here, I got comfortable really quickly. You know, I fit into the system really quickly, came here, and I just got my what's it called, my yellow card, which is basically where you can get medical attention and all that. So everything was basically fast paced. Within a week, I was back into the system again, and I could go to education, get help from the council, the commune as they call it here, and it's definitely a different environment compared to London, but I would say the best way to describe the two different places: London is for somebody who is ambitious. Denmark is for somebody who just wants a comfortable, stable lifestyle. I would say that's the best way to describe the two.
So that's exactly this. People here in Scandinavia, they are more relaxed than.
Oh, definitely. In London?
Okay,
Oh yeah, definitely. London doesn't allow you to be relaxed. You cannot be relaxed in London. There's so many things going on, and there's so many things challenging you personally that it's hard to even relax, because you just feel like everybody's moving a million miles per hour. And if as soon as you relax, you just feel like you're not doing anything. You know, and here it's like when you try to move at the same pace as you would if you was in London, you kind of feel like you're doing too much. So it's like, okay, relax. You know, so it's definitely two different mindsets, two completely different mindsets. And I've witnessed both. I've had friends come from London to here and they say the same thing. Here it's calm, it's relaxed, you know, stable economy. But being if you want to talk about just not that economy side and the comfortable side, but as being a black man in this country, is definitely different also to London. Here you can definitely feel that you're a black man in this country. In London, you're just another person, because nobody focuses on that. You don't really get treated differently. The only part you get treated differently is by what you wear more than how you are or what you look like. It's more about what you wear. Let's say if I was to go on the bus and I was wearing all black, I'm going to get certain looks because it's London, you know, the crime rate is high. Certain areas are prone to certain crimes. So, but here in Denmark, it's like no matter what you wear, no matter what you look like, as long as you're black or from another kind of ethnicity, it's kind of like you feel it. You know that you're different. Let's say, for example, I've worked in a lot of customer service jobs, and I get a lot of customers who approach me, and the first thing they do is speak English to me. And it's kind of like, I will reply in Danish, and then they'll get surprised. That on its own is kind of like, because I look different, you don't think I know your language. That is, I think that example alone tells you everything you need to know about this country.
I see. It is the same experience that you had from other blacks in this
Oh yeah,
experience.
Yeah, definitely. It's like people approach you, and then all of a sudden, because you look different to them, you don't understand the language, or there's certain things they just don't think you know, or they might feel uncomfortable around you. Or if you approach them with a smile, let's say, for example, for them it might be a little bit uncomfortable. So you definitely feel that you're different in this country compared to London. London, you don't really feel it because it's such a diverse place,
Right.
you know, and there is more about effort and experience rather than what you look like and what language you speak.
Let's talk about the poems. When did you start writing?
Oh, when I started writing poems, since I was in high school, secondary school, as we call it, at the age of 14 is when I first started writing, when we started reading poems for our GCSEs and exams, where we start in English, when we started reading poems, and I literally instantly got hooked to it. Then I started writing my own, and I just became a fan of the art form, poetry. And yeah, I've been writing ever since. So that's like, what, 10 years?
And what you write?
I would say it's definitely shifted. The topic has definitely shifted from what I started with and to what I do now. In the beginning, I was just writing, just writing about how I'm feeling and what's going on in my life at that current moment. But as I got older and started building relationships with people and stuff like that, I started writing more about how to connect with people and how people connect with each other. So whether it's through love, pain, struggle. But now recently, I've been writing a lot about being Black and being African and what the difference is between those two things and what my representation of those two things are. And also, since my mum passed away, I've been writing a lot about my mum and how I've been motivated differently through her passing, and how most of the things I do nowadays, my life has kind of like, the meaning of my life has shifted since she passed away. It's kind of been like to write in her memory or to move in her memory. So yeah, that's pretty much what my focus is, right? When I write about now, it's mostly about being Black, being African, and also dealing with the passing of my mum and how that has motivated me to just become a better person.
Okay. Last time I met you, or the first time that I met you, it was on this poetry vibe. How do you come about this poetry vibe?
Funny enough, it was one of my friends that actually sent me the link to it. I hadn't seen it. He obviously follows me on my Instagram, so he knows that I write poetry, and he's a very close friend of mine, and he sent me the link. And then I opened the link and read through what they were trying to do and what it was, what the topic was, and I got interested instantly. And I thought, okay. So I messaged the hosts, and funny enough, one of the hosts actually is a fan of my work anyway. She follows me also on my social media, so she was very happy to hear that I was interested in performing. And yeah, from there it was actually like 2 or 3 days before the event. So
can you hear one of those poems that you
yeah, of course.
there?
Yeah, the one about being Black, that's the one I wrote that actually maybe being 2 months into this country.
Being too much in this country.
2015 July. I moved here in 2015 May. I wrote the piece in July. And I guess in those first 2 months, if I kind of go back into my mindset, it was in those first 2 months, I could kind of feel that, okay, I'm in a different environment right now, and my color is very evident. And it's one of the things that people would love to point out, you know, and you can tell how people move differently because of my color. So I guess that's where my motivation to write this piece kind of came from. So this piece is called I Am Who I Am. I am Black. Yes, I am. I hate the term colored. You ask me why? So let me explain why. The definition of colored is to add color, the change of state. Like how a soft kiss turns her sweet cheeks a shade of passion, or how the touch of pain transforms her skin to the color of passion fruit. So therefore she is now colored in pain or romance. I am Black. Yes, I am. So what does that mean? It means when water travels through my hair, short curls conquer my scalp like waves swallow the ocean. The passage to my soul are 2 dark circles for eyes. My skin is immune to the sharp rays from the sun. My hands lay prejudice to holding a gun. Yes, I am Black. My ancestors didn't wear chains for fashion. Freedom wasn't a choice, but a song that they sang in rejoice, swinging arms for mosquito flies, hunting for food with wooden sticks and long sharp knives, seeing kids turn into housewives, fighting for their lives. Yes, I am black. But sometimes I feel blue about the things they used to do, and it didn't matter who, because your eyes wasn't blue. Your skin didn't burn in the sun, so you was put out in the fields, held down by a gun, and when you used God's gift to run, the white man's chamber spun, and your prayers would be answered as you was finally free from the pain. You see, I am black. But I turn green when I hear about a black being shooting at another black being, thinking that's how we should be living, because that's the way to give your son security, killing out of insecurity, that one day your son is going to be the one holding the gun. Our ancestors tried to escape to freedom, but now we try to escape to stardom, thinking it for freedom. But you are not free until you answer to nobody. Yes, I am black, and 1 month out of 12 cannot define what that means.
I don't need a check to make me happy. That's why it's called freedom, because it doesn't require nothing but wisdom, inspiration, and motivation. Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Booker T. Washington, Ida B. Wells, W.E.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X, Bernard Rustin, James Baldwin, Audre Lorde, and Maya Angelou went 10 rounds blow to blow in the fight for freedom with nothing but the voice. They did it through choice. It was either fight or sit at the back of the bus where you can't be heard.
Yes, I am black. No. Yes, I am black. Not a gangster, thug, nigger, rebel, criminal, but a black individual with a soul deep as his family tree. No matter how much you try to cut me, my roots stand strong in my boots, and when hate tries to rain on me, it only helps me gain, you see. We try to protect our own by killing our own, but the earth is our home and the sky our roof. We are all living under the same roof, even that homeless guy making his bed in the phone booth. Yes, I am black. Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, let their feeling be the vision. Whether touching black or white, they let the combination make music as it vibrates through their soul and their light be in the night.
Close your eyes. Now everything's black.
The audience responded well.
Mm-hmm.
They were feeling what you were reading.
Yeah.
What it is being black, or what you said, so people could really respond to it, what you wrote.
With this poem, I was kind of just trying to give people an example of being black has nothing to do with the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you act. Being black just means that, yes, my skin is dark and my hair is curly, and, you know, I can be out in the sun for a long time without getting sunburned. Generally, being black that's just all it means. Which is why I've always moved in a way where I don't really let my color define who I am. I'm black, but I'm more than that. You know, I'm African, I'm Danish, I'm British. And it's like a lot of people focus on what being black means, and there's a history behind the color. Yes, there's a history behind the color, which is why in the poem I'm focusing also on the history. Like, being black means that you are interlinked with the history of the color, because now you wear it, you know, and which adds you to the history, which means that a lot of people here in Denmark also don't really know about the history of the color. You know, they teach you about the history of Denmark, but it's not only Danish people living in this country. You have people from all across of the world that live in this country. I had one person who had never heard about Black History Month, and that was absurd to me. I was like, but I wasn't surprised. Why would they teach you it here? But the way does it benefit them? It doesn't benefit them at all. So it hurt me to hear, but I wasn't surprised. So in a sense, it's like you have a lot of black kids walking around this country who have no idea about what the color represents or what does it mean. A lot of people just, the only knowledge they have of the black word, of the black color is the N word. It doesn't go past that, which is sad. So this poem is just to teach you, or to teach people that yes, black is beautiful, but why is it beautiful? It's because it's different.
Do you think we blacks are contributing to this stereotype of being black, due to the fact that we are kind of, the many blacks are trying to bleach their skin color, not following or not, they don't want to be black? Do you think that this is a...
I think, to be honest with you, the biggest problem with black people in general is just the fact that we don't appreciate each other. We're competing against the wrong things. We compete against each other instead of competing against the people who are trying to bring us down. But instead we don't like appreciating each other or bringing each other up or giving each other a compliment or just letting each other know that we are beautiful or that we are doing great and we should just continue. Which is why I feel like a lot of people might bleach or change certain things in their skin color because maybe somebody has told them they're too dark or they just don't feel comfortable. You know what I mean? But if we were to change the narrative and just let everybody know like every shade of black is beautiful, whether it be dark shade or a light shade or somewhere in the middle, it's still black at the end of the day. I feel like just starting with that kind of positive mindset where we appreciate one another and let each other know that we are beautiful and there is some sort of beauty in who we are. I think that alone itself will help. But it's something that's been going on for a very long time.
That is true.
It's something that's been going on for a long time. Even not even just in Europe, back in Africa themselves, just trying to fit in to a world that they don't understand that you already fit in, you know, and trying to change your complexion. It's not really going to make them accept you even more because either way, you're still going to be different. This one is called I Am Not Only Black. There you go. I know all this melanin dries you up but still sucks you in. The way it be glistening like God's most gracious specimen. Too much chocolate can be sickening, whether it be from the coast of the Caribbean or the smiling coast West African. No matter how much our stars shine, they don't want to pay us no mind. And I don't mind, keep me out of the headlines, but when it comes to hard crime, they never fail to see us in the nighttime. But I can't be mad at you. If I was you, I'd probably be hating too. Your history full of bloodshed and conquering. Our history full of pain and struggling. All of that. And our future still contains all of that. I ain't saying my color's better than yours. I'm just trying to understand why it doesn't get the same respect as yours. Or why I feel safer around yours. Like Satan doesn't knock on Caucasian doors. Walk on marble floors. You think the devil doesn't wear Michael Kors? Snatch your bag like what's mine is yours. Cover your back in lion claws. Just the truth. I don't lie for the cause. I'm done fighting for seats on the bus. So instead they put their cameras on us. We became their entertainers like Netflix and chill when they see us. They used to bet their chips on us, capture us, enslave us, so we could entertain the masters, control us, pay us with different types of liquors, women to please us, to make sure we don't disturb the peace around us, blind us from the fruits of our labors. God knows I'm just trying to understand all of you. But sometimes y'all get lost in the mood. The N-word wasn't made for you. We transformed the N-word to end you. I condemn you. To hell with you. Screw you. I'm done with all of you. But I'm so high, my mind won't allow me to get as low as you. Can't put all you eggs in one basket. Even though you guys didn't even give us the respect enough to give us a casket. Threw us in a hole, then covered it up. Evidence untold. Digging it up. I wish I could dig you too, because I don't envy you. 12 years of slave, most say, was hard to get through. Makes sense why Black History Month makes most of you uncomfortable. Nigga this, nigga that. Put that shit in a song, no cap. Have the mandem sing along, no that. The only time we all seem to get along. This race talk should have been long gone. There is no gold medal for the last place. So fuck this race. Your race, his race, the human race. Take your shoes off when you enter my space. This is not a racial case, but a sign of respect for the African ways. What do people know about culture these days? Pathetic. Color has won this race. The culture is still stuck in last place. Do you get it? Where you come from defines you, not the skin wrapped around you. Do you get it? If you really want to know me, then let me explain my story so you get it. I walk like this, talk like this, act like this, look like this, because of my Africanness. Do you get it? Black is my shell. People crack it and stir it up well. But I am seasoned, can you not tell? Knowledge and education. I pay attention to detail. Do you get it? God just make us all blind. I mean all of mankind. Maybe that will make mankind and use all of its mind so they get it. Let me plant this seed in all your minds and hopefully it turns into a peace treaty. Slavery ended in 1865. We are in 2020. When will our vision stop being blurry? There's 50 shades of race. Not one of them defines me. Not one of them raised me. But all over this great sea of green, you'll find people that talk like me, think like me, have respect like me, the open mind to think freely, love everyone like our roots connect to the same family tree. But not all of them look like me. Some darker than me, some lighter than me, some from the other side of the world to me. But from the outside looking in, fear can't keep you from swimming in this sea field of melanin. If we want to abolish racism, then we have to let the culture in and erase race from this race we've been running. I hope you've all been listening to these words I've been echoing, because I am black, but I am also much more than that. I am black. Congratulations. We know your eyes work.
Do you use your anger into writing, into poems?
Oh yeah. Anger and frustration, yeah. I do. I do.
Because it seems like it's very strong what you write into.
Yeah. I mean,
that's the first, yeah, okay.
I mean, the frustrating part about this one, the thing that frustrated me a lot is that the people really relate being African to just being black. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand that culture, I think for me, is more important than race. Because like, for example, the first poem was about race. What does it mean to be black? It's just the only thing that connects to being black is the history and what and the melanin in your skin. But what does it mean to be African? So much more. You also have the history, but you also have the food, the language, the dancing, the music, the connection, you know? And I feel like people don't understand that culture is what we should be focusing on. Teaching people about our African culture. Because I feel like that is the only way that we are going to have any chance of getting rid of racism. Because I feel like racism is all based on people's lack of understanding for each other, not just black people, for each other. Black people don't want to understand the white culture. They don't want to understand the culture of an Asian, or the Asian people don't want to understand the culture of African or European or whatever. Because you get it also in African society, where I've witnessed it a lot, where you see a child doing something that is maybe not accustomed to being in your African culture, and you question it and you're like, why are you doing this? Are you one of them? And it's like, what do you mean? This is where he's grown up. This is what they know. But what is wrong with them understanding somebody else's culture?
But why do people kind of fear to learn someone's culture?
Because they fear that it's going to overtake theirs, that they'll lose sight of their own culture. But then that's an insecurity problem. If you're insecure in your own culture, or maybe as a parent you're insecure that you haven't taught your child the African culture, now they're going to get lost in somebody else's culture. So out of insecurity, what you try to do is try to tell them that every other culture is wrong, which is where my frustration comes from. Because for me, the only way we survive in any environment is understanding the culture in that environment.
Where people, if they would like to invite you for any particular event, where they can find you, what's your social media?
You can find me on my Instagram, Alicool, ALICOOL. On Facebook, Alieu Drammeh. But yeah, you can find me anywhere. I'm all over social media. But if you want to see my projects, I usually post them on my Instagram. Instagram would be the place I would say I'd be easily accessible. So definitely check out my Instagram. And yeah, I'll be more than welcome to hear if anybody wants to invite me out to the program, because that is my aim right now, to just get as much out there as possible so people can see my face. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for this opportunity.